Jesper, since we last fished together out at Maroon Dam, you've got a very special addition to the boat. Run us through that.
Yeah, so I managed to finally get an active live target transducer and pole. It's been a bit of a long time coming. Obviously they're not cheap, so you know it takes sometimes a bit to get them.
One of the key things that we want to try and cover today in relation to the active target is answering some questions, and I know a couple of the guys on my page have put some questions up, so we'll work through those. But I think the good thing about it is it's relatively new on your boat and you're still learning. So I think that a lot of the content we can cover today will be in the eyes of someone new. Like it's good to watch the videos of the guys who've been using it and are proficient in it, but I think today we can ask some questions around what's it like to learn how to use it, and what are you looking for, and what is coming up on the screen, and how you interpret it, because I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for anyone once they actually get this technology on board. So Jesper, tell us a bit about the what's happening down there at the moment. What mode have you got it in, and what are we looking at?
So we've currently got it in scout mode. I am recording some of the footage here, so you can we'll probably put that up later in a bit more detail. So what we can actually see is we can see some it's not so much weeds, probably just some growth from the flood sitting up there. That's normally the bright section in the middle, and then you'll see sometimes around that area that you'll just start seeing some movement. Obviously that's those fish swimming around that section. Then you'll also see those fish sitting in between the boat and us. So what it's allowing us to do, I suppose, is have a look at what's sitting up in that shallow, and then what is sort of currently sitting just off the edge. And we've seen before, and you can see fish are swimming, coming in there on the left hand side. They're milling around. You've got some swimming around the front of that weed, and then occasionally you'll see them swimming up through that shallow section. So I put my lure through, so I'll just cast it out there, so you won't sort of see that coming. I'll just move this one a little bit so we get a better view of it coming back. So you can see the shadows of those grass or whatever it may be, and then and there's it. Well, there you go. Look, we've just hit that brush, and it's come off now.
And you're saying it's about halfway in, or when it comes up through the column is when you can actually see the lure,
yeah,
which we'll get a grasp on there in a minute. You'll see it sort of pop up on the screen.
Yeah, it depends on how deep it is coming back. In that case, we didn't really see it. But sometimes, yeah, you can see on the way back, spinner baits and stuff, or even pretty much any lure you'll see coming back. But again, it'll just come down to how high that is in the column. So,
now, how do you get depth perception on that? Because I look at that and go, I can see how far it is. You've got 35 feet, so 35, 40 feet, that'll you can go, okay, well, I'm looking at that area. But tell me about, I guess, depth perception. So you're obviously seeing the bottom, but I guess, is it just the brighter the colour of fish, the higher it's sitting in the column? Is that sort of how you read it?
Yeah, I think that's how I've interpreted it. Basically, I try to set mine up. So this is actually showing, because the ground is actually going up in this direction here. So you can actually see the bottom a little bit. This sort of greyish area, you can sort of see. Definitely when the fish are higher, they're definitely brighter and bigger, and then you can also sometimes see the shadow that they're casting actually on the bottom further up. Obviously I don't run multiple sounders, so I've gone back to traditional. I've had a look at what we're sitting in. So at the moment, we're in about that 15-foot mark. I find after 15 feet, from what I've seen, you definitely start to lose pretty much the bottom. But you'll still see fish swimming around, and I suppose the size and the brightness is just really about whether they're higher or lower. So sometimes I'm just looking for a shadow So you can actually see, every now and again, you just see these shadows swimming through here. You may not actually see the fish, but you'll just see shadows coming through, and then you know that those fish are most likely close to the bottom, and they're just casting that shadow.
Down mode. Tell us about that, what we're seeing.
I haven't really used it a lot, to be really honest, but obviously now we're just going straight down, so now we can see, so around the middle of the screen there you can actually see the lure is actually, I'm bobbing it up and down, it's fish down near the bottom, so I can drop the lure to the bottom. Now it's on the bottom.
So I think this would be probably one of those scenarios in those, when you have those schooling bass, say Somerset in August, September, when they school up, and you can just really see how they're reacting to the things like ice jigs and whatever else.
And you can also, like, the beauty of it is you can actually obviously see where that fish is. So you can see that this fish is coming up to actually have a bit of a look. Just swim around. The only thing I haven't really worked out yet is, like, to keep the lure in the column in the sonar, you've got to be very directly under it.
Yep.
So I haven't really worked out the actual, like, the span, you know, like how wide in that yet.
Yep.
But
and that would change. Is that, you can set that at different depths as well, so you can have it over your 20 feet, 40 feet. Is that right? Or
yeah. So at the moment I've got it set at 20 feet, but I can have it set at like 15 feet.
Yep.
So then obviously it's not showing the bottom. I can show 30 feet. And that shows a little bit more there. The other thing too is, you know, we can play with our contrast, so we can bring our contrast up. So now you can see, so that's brought the contrast right up, and you can really now see, and maybe that's the key. Like if I take that back to 20 feet, so now there's more, you know, there's more contrast now, so you can see more on the sounder, obviously. And maybe that's the difference between, you know, as you start to, you know, learn how to use the jig side, the downside is to obviously get that image a lot better and better. So, you know, and there's different noise levels. You know, you can turn things on and off, so you can obviously clear it up. I run it on low at the moment, and then the only thing, then you get stable view, so it just shows whether it stabilizes it, and obviously, you know, you can have your little icon, you know, depending on if you want your, which just displays where that is. So it doesn't give you a massive amount of options, funny enough. So I think it really does come down to the sonar position and a bit of the contrast.
But I guess that mode is there for probably specific applications, you know, like I think the scout mode, you can kind of see that you're looking for those fish and you can sort of position yourself a cast away from them and cast to them. This is more like, okay, there's a school there, I can try and work through that or whatever.
Yeah, so there's my lure there now, and that's sitting up a bit high, probably only 6 to 8 feet now. You can see my lure's bouncing there roughly just off the center to the right there. And then you can see that actually something's coming up towards it. So you can see the fish coming up now. Yeah. So something's coming up to have a look.
He's right on it, isn't he?
Yeah, so he's come up and he's just swam past it now. He's probably, so they're just swimming up for some reason up to us, or who knows. Clearly not interested in the lure. I'll say, oh, there he goes. Oh, that was actually... that
was close.
That was close. That was actually one that's... so see how they come out of nowhere? It's like, it's interesting on this mode, how they just literally come out of nowhere. So he's actually come out. We saw a couple of nice big ones there, just come and actually have a bit of a sticky beak. So yeah, like you can really, and I think this would be good, like you say, with suspended fish. You know, you can really target that depth, and I think that's going to be the key. Because I used to count them down. I used to actually measure. Sometimes I'd even go to the extreme of actually physically measuring the line out. To know that I'm exactly, you know, 10 feet. To make sure that's sitting right in their face all the time.
Or you might drop it to the bottom and then go counting 5 winds to get it 8 feet or whatever else is. Those little. But that's not exact right. Here you have the exact science. You can see exactly where your lure is sitting in the column.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so cool. I haven't had a huge amount of experience with it. I haven't really needed it at this stage.
So you've changed now to forward mode, and what we've got there is a tree in front of us. You're going to go over and have a look at that on forward mode and just see you can swim a lure past it and just see what that looks like as well.
All right, so there's the tree.
Is it recording?
Yep.
Yep.
So haven't really used this much. It's a very narrow beam, so you can actually see on the image how, as I turn the sonar around, the transducer around, how that tree comes and goes, because it's only really just a pole, pretty much. So, and you can just see a couple of fish swimming around. If we go out this direction, so this is where we've had a few bites today, and this is going up. So obviously this is getting shallower. So you can, it's an interesting sort of concept because you can still see the occasional fish come and go, but they're not as detailed as in scout mode. And then obviously sometimes you can just make your lure coming back. So like from my experience, the scout mode is definitely, and how you can see now we're really starting to get bright. I've turned the contrast right up on this one just to really, and I've changed the color palette. So I think sometimes too, I'm starting to learn that different modes is better for different color palettes. And I think this mode requires a lot, like not as a lighter, like a darker palette. So you get more contrast in those fish coming through. But so you can sort of see where those fish are sitting. I think this would be good. Maybe we'll try it again later out a little bit deeper water and see if, you know, especially if you like crankbait and stuff and you've got fish at a certain level, you can sort of see fish are down the bottom there, and there's some sitting just under the boat. And then if I turn it around, so you can sort of see, you know, there's a bit of stuff there. And there's a nice, well, there's something actually massive swimming.
That looks like a toad, doesn't it? That's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. So, but see how the fish are not as defined. That's what I've noticed. Like they're more blobs, and they're just coming like bigger and smaller blobs. And I think,
but you can still clearly see their fish.
Oh yeah, 100%, because they're moving. Yeah,
they're moving and that kind of thing. So you can see them moving, and you go, okay, probably a little harder to tell the species as well. You know, so obviously whatever that was so.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a few. I don't know if I'd say they're eels. They've been pretty long and slender. So.
So Jesper, it's been great to spend another day on the water with you, mate, and have a look at the active target. And I guess the big question, I think the one that it's not cheap. Do you think it helps you catch more fish, or is it a little less than that?
I think that it's probably is worth the money. In the sense that it gives you a better insight into what we sorry, I just called it
self-release, yeah.
Obviously, you know, as you've seen today, you know, you can actually see more fish and you can see their reactions, and we've had a pretty tough day. You know, we haven't caught a lot of fish, so I think being able to, you know, use the technology to see that they were chasing the spinnerbaits a bit more actively than they were chasing something else, and then obviously, you know, finding some areas that they were a little bit more active in. So I suppose to answer the question is, I mean, I think it's worth the money. It would be nice if they were cheaper, obviously, but now that I've got it, I definitely think, you know, I'll use it every trip. So I think it's pretty good to do that.
So in summary, I guess the answer is maybe not necessarily help you catch more fish, but maybe certainly accelerate you honing in on a pattern which can help you catch more fish. Well, so maybe quicker, like you, instead of, you know, I guess casting blindly, you can go, like you say, spinnerbait, oh, that reacted, a plastic, no, that didn't respond, and you can see how the fish are responding, which obviously then accelerates potentially, but it won't always help you catch fish. Some days the bass just go, you know what, I'm out of here. And
yeah, look, I agree, and that's the thing. It doesn't make it necessary to catch more fish, but you know that your lure is always in front of fish, and ultimately I think that'll end up hopefully increasing, I suppose, a part of your catch rate for the day. As we've seen today, you know, we went from only having a fish each in the morning to probably having about a 5-hour stint there where we weren't catching anything, and you could physically see them on the live, just not interested at all, like no matter what we threw. So it's not a miracle, it's not a miracle device, but then you can start to see them starting to change their behavior a little bit and chase a bit of bait and stuff, and then all of a sudden, you know, we caught another 7 or 8 fish now in the last hour. So and look, I think there's still people out there that, and rightly so, that, you know, don't have all this fancy stuff and can still go out and catch fish. And I'm sure if I didn't switch it on, we could probably have worked it out as well using some traditional sonar. But there's no doubt in my mind that it's definitely makes it easier, and also gives you more confidence that you're fishing 2 fish 100% of the time, versus, like you said, you could be fishing bank for 40 minutes and then just be not even a fish on it. And we've seen today on the traditional sonar, you know, we didn't see a lot on the traditional sonar, and when we dropped the live in, there was fish everywhere. So it's a good device to use both at the, you know, if you can do that at the same time. So
cool. All right, mate, thanks again, and until our next adventure.
Yep, too easy.